Hello, everybody, and welcome to this little talk slash stream with Michael Klein. Welcome, Michael Klein. Please introduce yourself.
Hello. Hi, my name is Michael Klein. I'm a senior software engineer and lead on the Based Out Homebase project at TQ Tezos. I work in smart contract development, contract security, formal verification, and assessment of projects that will use smart contracts. I'm glad to be here today.
Well, thank you for coming. So, what is Homebase? Now, this is a stream about Homebase, the thing you've worked on. Please, can you, in very few sentences, summarize what Homebase does?
Sure. So Homebase is the front end for Base DAO, which is a relatively straightforward DAO contract. And a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. You can think of it as like a multi-sig contract with many more users that can all vote. And how it works is you connect it to an external FA2 token of any kind that represents the governance token. And you lock or stake tokens in the DAO to be able to vote with them or to create proposals. And then those proposals can do anything a smart contract can. So manage funds, control other contracts, simply show how many people are really invested in something. And through this process, just like a multi-sig, you have basic decentralized governance, which is why we're here.
Great. So you've launched in a kind of alpha version on mainnet about, what, a week ago, a bit less than that. How has your experience been so far?
Yeah, so far we're definitely still picking up. Definitely alpha is a great description of the project at this point. It works in a lot of ways, but we don't have the full amount of testing or necessarily all the polish that you would want in a production ready version.
Okay, great. So, there's many people who ask me a lot of questions on Twitter, mainly on Twitter, really, about Homebase, about BaseDAO, and this sudden kind of launch that was implemented for governance on Hic Et Nunc surprised a lot of people, especially because there wasn't too much documentation on how it works and what exactly it is, And
Right.
so I hope that today with Michael here, we can clear this all up. So yeah, by the way, what are your other connections with Tezos? Like, I heard you're founded by the Tezos Foundation. You're part of TQ Tezos, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, so I work for TQ Tezos. TQ Tezos, we like to call ourselves the execution arm of the foundation. I like to think about it as if the foundation, they have a mission to bring Tezos to the world and to make sure everything goes great with Tezos. So they have a bunch of money to do that, but they're not, boots on the ground actually going out and developing contracts or supporting the ecosystem in a very hands-on way. So that's where we come in. We take some money and we go ahead and go hands-on. We try to support the ecosystem. We develop various smart contract standards such as FA2, TZIP16 metadata, TZIP17 permits, and other standards that we then create contracts around and try to get people on the network, doing what they need to do.
oh, great. So, what do you see for Homebase to happen in the future? Where do you see Homebase going? How do you see the Tezos DeFi world kind of integrating with Homebase?
Yeah, so I'm gonna definitely go with my fun answer for this because I like to think about things from a pretty abstract perspective. So I like to think of this as really just a multi-sig at scale, where a multi-sig is the industry standard for saying, okay, well, we have something that involves more thousands of dollars than we want to go through a single account, and we simply need more people to have shared control over that. So we have a multi-sig. Well, multi-sigs only scale up to maybe a dozen participants. So what's that next multi-sig? What's that next industry standard for decentralized, permissions, transfers, all those great things? And I really do think it's a DAO like this, a DAO that is built to just kind of hook into the existing ecosystem and allow you to do just those core voting features, so that you can really connect to a lot of different applications. And what are these applications? Well, we have a grants program in the works where you can fund different projects similar to what we're trying to do here, where you can put in funds, you can invest in the project, and you can even create sub projects or sub DAOs that then get a percentage of the funds, or you can start creating interesting nets of different contracts with how the profit goes. Yeah, I don't really know where to go from there. I mean, you can
That's
really
alright,
do
man. That's already a lot.
all sorts of things.
Yeah, well, I'm honestly looking forward to it. I already see Cebu is using it. Hic Et Nunc, of course, is using it. It was the first DAO on it. Who else is using it right now? Just let me take a quick look. On the mainnet, as of now, if this would let me load this. Well, anyways, do you know what other people are on the mainnet right now? So right now,
Yeah,
which DAOs are
I'm
on there?
not sure about mainnet, but I heard that Tez Bazaar might be using it or planning to use it. And we have a Baker DAO that we also have in the works, which is it's very much like this DAO, except the governance token is the number of staked Tez or staked roles that you have as a Baker. So this is like instead of using the normal protocol vote where you can change everything, it's kind of like a slightly less serious, slightly safer place where bakers can either do grants similarly, or show their support for different protocols long before we start ramping up the many stages of actually upgrading Tezos.
Oh, that's actually really interesting. Especially, I mean, how many bakers are interested in participating in that? Do you know anything about that?
I don't have good enough statistics on how many people
Okay.
are interested, but I would estimate that anybody who has dozens of roles probably would be interested.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, it means a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's go back to Homebase as a platform, as the front end side, how to navigate through it, what it is, how does proposing and staking work. And I think to do this, the best way to do it is for me to just share my screen and go live through some of the steps you can do right now with hdao, and discuss some of the other steps, and on the way also discuss some of the details that are part of each of these steps. For example, how long the staking period lasts and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be sharing my screen right now. Just a minute up here. Let me see. Let me put this here. And let me remove the chat overlay. I think this is better. Yes. Okay, so we're on Homebase now. The network is now by default mainnet, correct? Since last night?
Yep, should be.
Great, yeah, that was a bit of an issue beforehand. Now you don't need to change that anymore. You're automatically on mainnet. So if you use any link that goes directly to the hdao Homebase part, it will automatically be there. You don't need to select it again. But now let's go from the homepage. Just let's choose Hic Et Nunc DAO, connect the wallet. I'll be connecting my wallet here. Just a bit. Okay, there we go. I'm connected. And now what can I do? Michael, please guide me through this process.
All right. So the main things you can do, let's just walk through the top. So on the upper right-hand side, in the very top corner, you can see that we have like submitting an issue if you run into anything, and there's your wallet. And if you go down a bit, we have creating proposals, which cycle we're on, even and odd switch between voting and proposing, and then how long you have left to vote. There's a delay between each stage, even if you reach quorum or lots of people participate or nobody participates. We wait the same amount of time so you can more easily schedule when you need to see what's going on. And then moving to the left, we see you can stake and unstake tokens. You must stake tokens to be able to participate in the DAO. This is both a technical and a security thing. That for technical reasons, this allows us to have many more voters. And for security, we're much more sure exactly how many tokens everybody has, so that they're not double voting or anything like that. So you have to stake to get started with participating in the DAO, and then when you want to use your hand afterwards, you'll have to unstake.
I'll stop you here for a second, and I'll go ahead and stake. It's really not too difficult, but what you have to keep in mind is that the number here is written in micro hdao, which means hdao to the power of 10 minus 676, a million. Basically, multiply anything by a million, and you'll get to the actual number of hdao. For example, for one hdao, you would have to input 1 million hdao here. So I'll go ahead and stake one hdao. Actually, I haven't counted how many zeros there are yet. Correct. Stake
This is some of the
tokens.
polish I was talking about, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a very early phase, and even Hic Et Nunc himself used to show hdao as microdao. So I think it's more of a thing on the side of hdao and less on your side.
Yeah.
Of course, it shouldn't be too difficult to fix as well. So, well, yeah. So you stake, you wait a little bit. It shouldn't take too long. Your tokens are going to be staked, but you have to keep in mind. That's what I talked with Michael about beforehand. Your staked tokens will not be able to create proposals or vote until the next cycle.
Yep.
Correct? Yeah.
That is correct.
So I already staked some tokens last cycle, so I'll be using this wallet here to do this little live demo to show you how to create a proposal and all that stuff. So yeah, now it's time to wait a bit until it's staked. Can take a little while. Shouldn't take too long usually. I mean, it's on Tezos, but you never know. Okay, great, it's done. So right now, as you can see, there's 61 voting addresses. It means 61 different addresses have staked hdao on here, and below here you can even see how much hdao has been staked. We don't recommend staking all of your hdao immediately. It's still in an alpha. It's still an early test phase, so be careful. Don't overdo it. Don't just throw all of your money in here. I mean, it's not gonna get lost, but maybe a cycle is gonna take too long, or maybe, something changes. We don't know. So it's best to just go slow, take it easy. And once everyone is a bit more used to it, feel free to put a bit more in there as well. Yeah. So here you can see how much hdao is locked as well. Staking means freezing or locking your hdao, by the way, for those who don't know. I mean, this is definitely also for people who are artists, who don't know much about tech or about crypto or blockchain in general, who just use Hic Et Nunc to create art and sell art, and who want to have a say in the platform as a whole. So if you don't understand something, feel free to just send me a message or write something in chat. I will try to get to it. If I don't get to it during the stream, I will definitely try to reply afterwards. And so, yeah, don't worry too much about it. I'm open for any questions. And right now, Michael is also open for any questions. So I hope we'll be able to help you. Well, yeah, so now let's get to making a proposal. Here on the top left, you have a little menu in which you can choose what you want to see: proposals, treasury, and registry. Now I'll start with the proposals. Currently we are in the proposal phase, which means you're able to create a new proposal right now until the next cycle starts. So to do that, you just need to have some hdao staked and then click on new proposal. And now you have this really weird window here. Michael, please guide me through this.
All right, so you can do a lot of things in a proposal. So there's a bunch of options for how to do it. So I'm actually going to draw your attention to the very middle right away, because there's this thing called upload JSON file. And that's how, if this, the interface got to be too much, you could programmatically generate larger batches of transfers of NFTs or much more complex ways. So we kind of have an escape hatch in there. And then right below it, we call it an Agora post ID, but really this will be any forum of your choosing. Instead of having the proposal description and name stored on chain, it's only stored on the forum, and you just point to it with a numeric ID. And then there at the bottom, you can see that is the staking fee. That's how much you have to put in to make a proposal. And it's not the cost of a proposal, it is how much you have to lock so that people trust that you're going to take care of the proposal afterwards, or if it fails, that you're going to clean it up. And if basically if your proposal gets voted down, then some of the proposal fee gets held by the contract to incentivize you to not put any sort of bad proposals in or something that couldn't pass.
By the way, just so that people know, this is 0.1 hdao in total. It's not 100,000. So don't worry about that. You don't need to have 100,000 hdao. I already had people texting me about it. Okay.
Yeah, we got to fix all the decimals. there was a recent attempt to fix them, and the issue wasn't that it didn't work. It was that, or completely, it was that it didn't work exactly the same everywhere. So it was more
Okay.
confusing because sometimes it would be the right decimals and sometimes you couldn't tell. But yeah, so that's the fee. And then what the actual content of the proposal is a set of transfers and a set of registry updates. So the registry is a bunch of string keys and values where you can basically set various things that can be accessed from outside the DAO, such as maybe you wanted to set up, you know, I don't know, an official list of tags that get better royalties or something, right? You could vote on those fields in the DAO, and then you can have other contracts like a marketplace contract, read them directly from the DAO, and then, you know, change their behavior based on that. So this is how you use the DAO to configure other contracts. But if no contract is listening for the configuration, it won't do anything. But yeah, you can just put a string and a value in here, and then click the batch update switch if you want to do several.
So what if you have a bit of a more abstract proposal? Let's say you're an artist, you don't really know anything about coding, you just like to draw and paint something, and you realize that you also would like to see the artworks that you have been collecting recently and you've been reselling, so you want to have a secondary market tab on your profile. This is something that many people have been talking about, many people have been suggesting. Let's say you would want to make a proposal like adding this tab to the user profile. Do you need to know some exact variables, or is it possible to somehow just put some text here that can be listened?
This is the listening that I mentioned. So you as a community need to agree, or we as a community need to agree what those keys and values are that are meaningful, right? Because
Okay.
otherwise, if nobody's listening, it doesn't do anything to set that key and value, right? So if you do have an option for those types of changes in the platform, then they need to be well defined outside of the DAO first before you make the proposal. And otherwise, if you're doing this, it basically just shows like a popularity and attention of the proposal. If it gets passed, there's no guarantee that anything will come out of it, because, like I said, you have to have something listening for the change for it to really enact the change.
Okay, understandable. So basically, I mean, honestly, I think the developers behind Hic Et Nunc are always looking at this. They're always paying close attention, and even if it's not automatically getting executed, there should be a way to still send in those proposals without having to code everything. But this might be for the near future. Well, right now we should focus on smaller things like a font change or something like that that can be done automatically.
Think about another perspective of that sort of change. So let's say we want like this additional like marketplace tab and there's a tension on it. Well, you could say that, well, it needs money to actually develop it, right? Like
Exactly.
The front end is off chain. So then really your proposal is for the money to be transferred to the right place to actually make that happen.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we come back to transfer proposals, right?
And then with this proposal and forum ID, once the front end is implemented so that the forum ID will get shown on the UI on Homebase, you could send in a proposal like that. Say, add secondary market tab to user profile, and in order to do that, the proposal itself is sent, I don't know, 100 Tezos to developer X, or lab X, or whatever Raphael wants to call it. I think he wants to call them labs. So let's say you send 100 Tezos to lab X from Raphael in order to implement whatever this forum post says.
Yep.
Okay, well, until then, we can just put in some numbers here, but people don't really know what it's about. But again, this is a very early alpha. It's still in development, so it's not to be expected to have everything immediately. I'm just happy that there is some kind of system to vote at all, which is really, really necessary for Hic Et Nunc.
Yeah, and I mentioned sub DAOs. I mean, some of these projects could have DAOs themselves if they need ongoing governance, right? And so you can basically fund the sub project, which also has its own governance, through one of these transfers by funding its initial setup.
Okay, so let's say we would want to create a proposal. Now let's just pull through with this. And I say, I want to get paid for this thing that I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I put in the recipient as my address. I say I would like, say 10 pesos. There's no ID right now for forums, so I'll just ignore this number and I'll send. I need to confirm the transaction on my wallet, and then this proposal should be created, right?
Yep.
Here we can also look at other proposals that are out right now. The first one here is from Vector saying to set the font to Bezier Circle Monoregular, which is the new font
this
that they want
this
to
is
use.
a great example, because if we can set up, you know, off-chain things that will look at the DAO and check the font, and they could actually set the font based on this in a website, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if nobody's set up to look at that, this is just a recommendation.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I think this is working, honestly. I mean, Vector is one of the main devs behind hdao, as far as I know. He's been working with Raphael since the beginning of Hic Et Nunc. He's really been working hard on it, honestly, and I'm very happy for the things that he's done so far. And I mean, if he sent his proposal, he's definitely going to listen to it. But then again, this is now established as the governance system for Hic Et Nunc, so I would be very surprised if people, or if the people who are actually developing it or who have the keys basically for the Hic Et Nunc platform wouldn't listen to it.
No, for sure. This is the purpose of the DAO. I'm trying to emphasize how much of this needs to be set up and doesn't exist yet, right?
Yeah, of course. But honestly, I'm just happy to have what we have now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Great start.
I know you're a very smart guy, honestly. I know you're a very competent guy. Well, I don't know if you're too competent. Obviously, like I can't know this, but I'm thinking, like, I assume you are. You seem like a very competent guy. And I know you've been working on this for a long time, and I know Vector has as well. Oh, by the way, here's the proposal now. It went through 10 pesos to my address. But yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is gonna be going a lot better, and it's gonna look a lot different very soon, and be a lot more user friendly very soon. Because I know you're always working on it.
Yeah, no, we're really in the polish stage. So it's a lot more testing. It's a lot more little visual, you know, niceties, right?
Oh. Yeah. I mean, it's not too bad already. I mean, it's pretty all right. If you just add the front end implementation for the forum IDs and titles and descriptions, it would be almost perfect already, honestly. It's maybe a bit difficult to navigate if you're not too savvy, but I think anything would be. So I can't complain, I'll be honest with you.
Great.
But yeah, so let's look at the other details that are on here. By the way, if you stake, your staked hdao stay frozen for one cycle, but I'm not too sure when do they get unstaked. After once, when do they get unfrozen so you can unstake them?
So you have to unstake them. Yeah, after one cycle, you can unstake them whenever you want.
Okay, so it doesn't matter which cycle it is. It's just after one cycle.
It's just after one cycle. Yeah. No, okay. we wouldn't like, you know, make sure you get the exact block in at the right time. No, that's a huge security hole if we did that.
Yeah, no, I was thinking maybe, you know, during voting they can't ever be unstaked, while during proposals they can always.
No, that would just be annoying. Maybe that.
I agree, honestly.
That would be so annoying.
Yeah. So what is this execute button? What does it do?
Yeah. So when a proposal is all ready to actually go, you click execute, and it runs all of the proposals that have been accepted.
And anyone can press execute, right?
Yep.
Okay. So for most users,
it costs a little bit of gas, so you actually have to sign it.
Oh my God! No, my 20 cents. What am I gonna do?
Oh no.
I think I can afford that. You know, I'm a bit broke, but not that broke. But yeah, so proposals. here we're there right now. We can see all the proposals here. I mean, for now, you have to click on the proposals to actually see what it's about. As he said earlier, once the forum front end has been implemented, you'll be able to see a title or something like that. Is it correct? Did I understand that correctly?
Yep, that's the plan.
Okay, yeah. So for now, you'll have to click through each and every single one of them and look and be like, oh, maybe, maybe not. Okay, well, then we have the treasury here, where we can see anything that is in the treasury of the DAO itself. So this is not the whole Hic Et Nunc treasury, as far as I understand. It's just for the DAO, right?
Yep.
Okay, and that's why you could only send up to 16 Tezos, because that's all that's in here. Yes, 16 Tezos here. Well, it's great to see that you can just look at this and see what's in there.
Yeah, we'll probably have to expand this a little bit more once we have more, much larger list of tokens.
Yeah. Also, you can send Tezos, so donate Tezos to the treasury. Please do if you want to support this project, if you want to. Well, this is more for Hic Et Nunc and not for the project. But if you want to support the DAO, please do send some Tezos. Do you have some donation for TQ Tezos as well, or is it kind of not?
I don't have anything available.
Okay, yeah.
Donate to the foundation, their nonprofit.
Yeah, okay. So donate to the Tezos Foundation if you want to support Homebase or anything else that they're working on, or if you want to just support the DAO, feel free to donate some Tezos on here to the treasury. These can then be used to execute any of the orders given to it. And now finally we have the registry. Now, what is this registry?
Yeah, so this registry is a list of string keys and string values. So we saw an example before that you said was submitted by Vector, where the key was the font, which presumably is going to be the font on some marketplace or front end. And then the value was, some string representing that font. So really, the registry is here so that we can use the DAO to have either, prose, human readable configuration of what is the current, opinion on some fact, right? Or configuration for another contract. We can configure marketplace contracts, token contracts, minting contracts, you name it.
Okay, great. So let's get back to the voting actually now. So right now we're in the proposal phase. You can't vote on any proposals yet. But if you click on the proposal here, you can see on the top right corner kind of it, there is a button for voting for or against it. I am assuming this is how it's going to work once the next cycle starts. But what are the details about it? What are the fees? Well, not the fees, but how much do you need to have staked to vote for something?
You can vote with one staked fraction of an hdao, so 1/1,000,000th of an hdao token, and you can vote. You vote with any amount of hdao that you have that is currently frozen. It has to have cleared being frozen. So we mentioned it takes until the next cycle to happen. And then you select how many tokens you would like to vote for with or vote against. I do believe we support voting for and against.
Yes, you do here.
But simultaneously, I mean,
oh,
so you
okay.
could vote 5 for and 5 against and just affect the quorum, for example. But yeah, then yeah, once the proposal has finished, your tokens will be returned to you in full.
So as of now, the more tokens you use to vote, the more your vote has power.
Exactly.
Okay, good to know. Now I know some people in the community will be very happy about this. I know some will not be too happy about this, but this is also.
If anybody's less happy about it, I want to explain that it's really difficult to have representative governance. And this is effectively the best we have. We have security to prevent, large or rapid swings in how many hdao people hold and vote with. And that's how we try to make it stay as representative as we can.
On top of that, I think we need to mention that the biggest individual holders of hdao have, I think it was 1.5% of the total supply. So, yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, we'll have someone with 1% who can do a bit more. But it's really not that bad, is it?
Right.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you would like to mention about it?
Not too much comes to mind. I mean, We really would encourage you to submit issues if you run into anything, with screenshots and any other details you can give us. Like I said, this is an alpha release. We are very much in progress, very much trying to polish this up and debug it and make sure that everything is as secure and smooth as we can get it. We are also planning to optimize this for performance, which is gas performance. So even though you just mentioned that the fees are cents, we're still trying to get it cheaper, and do plan to get it at least a little bit cheaper and get. Basically, we want to be able to support larger numbers of votes, larger numbers of voters, larger numbers of proposals, larger everything, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then one final question: can one DAO on here affect a different DAO?
Only if you set up the configuration to do so. With the current DAOs that we have, there's a sort of fill in the blank for what happens when you want to run a proposal. So currently, all it does is updates the registry and sends any transfers. But that is extensible, and so you could add something in there that allowed one DAO to be controlled by another one. But if they're all just using the alpha version that we have right now, none of them would support that.
Okay. Good to know.
I mean, you can of course send tokens from one DAO to another, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's just a transfer from one wallet to another, right? From one address
Yep.
to another. So yeah, of course. But I'm saying like you couldn't. Let's say Cebu wanted to take all the funds from the hdao and put them into his own DAO.
I mean, they'd have to break the contract, which that's
Exactly.
my job to prevent.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Great. As we can see here, by the way, other people who are using it right now are Cebu and Teso Spanish. I do not know what Hunk is. I'll be honest with you. Do you have any idea what Hunk is?
I do not. I honestly thought it was a funny way to say
Hic Et Nunc. Yeah,
Hic Et Nunc.
I think it has something to do with it, but
I'm not sure.
No idea.
Since there's not a ton of participants, this one might be for testing, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I saw that Hunk is in the treasury of hdao. If you look at
right, so I would.
this.
It might actually be a derivative DAO of some sort.
It could, or it's just someone who said, let's put some Hunk in this address. It would be funny.
Yeah.
And who wants it to look legit or whatever. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
So yeah, you talked about some other bakers, well, not bakers, but not specific bakers, but bakers in general joining Homebase. You talked about who else did you say was going to join? Bazaar.
Yeah, Bazaar is
place?
at least considered it. I'm not sure where they are in the process, whether they're in the middle of developing, what they need to set it up, or yeah, possibly.
Right, I'll stop the screen share.
Sure.
Here we go. Yeah, so that was very insightful. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you would like to add to it?
Nothing comes to mind. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Yeah, I'll be going through my Twitter real quick, seeing if anyone said something. I think the chat is not really working right now, so I'll be going through my Twitter. I'll be going through the YouTube. Just a second. Here. Nope. Okay, nothing. Twitter again. Here, explore. No, profile.
I mean, I did think of one other thing to mention, which is another feature that we don't currently support in the UI, but is a core feature of the contract is feeless voting. So if the 20 test cents is way too much for you, you can still participate in the voting by using permits, whereby you sign the vote, but somebody else sends it to the contract.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great, but at the same time, as we know right now, it's not necessarily the most important thing, is it?
Right. Which is why, again, it's supported in the contract, but not on the UI yet.
Yeah. People talking about the funds. Oh yeah, someone asked actually. I don't know if you know about this, but this is a bit of a funny question. Someone asked, what are these? This type of profile image called, like that every wallet gets this generative image that is right next to the wallets. What is that called? How is it made? How does it work? Do you have any
I
idea?
can describe how it works, but I don't know the name for it. It is a procedurally generated profile image. The idea is that you hash the ID of the user, and you symmetrize it a little bit. You know, you kind of do like an ink blot thing and make it the same on both sides. You kind of mess with the procedural animation a little bit to make it look a little bit more like a, you know, an avatar. And then they hide that algorithm so you can't brute force it to pick what you look like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's by the way, talking about procedural art, there's so much of it on
Yeah,
Hic Et Nunc. It's incredible.
it's really
Do
amazing.
you? Yeah, I mean, you'd already talked about some of your favorites artists last time. Actually, it was great having you here last time as well. It was great having you here again. By the way, you're always very fun to talk to, honestly.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
And I think we can already wrap it up here. Thank you very much. I'll be
sure.
trying to make some other guides, some shorter guides or something like that on how to use it, all that kind of stuff to create some of the documentation that was missing. And yeah, if you can help me through the process, if I have any questions, I'll ask you
Of
or
course.
anyone else really.
Yeah.
Even if you don't answer, I'll brute
Yeah,
force
we should
this.
definitely have some people available. I mean, at worst the GitHub, but you might be able to find us on Slack as well. And you know, we're here trying to reach out and find who wants to use it and support that.
By the way, where can people reach you actually?
I can be reached at michael.klein@tqtezos.com or on my Twitter at mjdklein.
Okay, if you write that down for me later on Discord, I will put that in the description and add it as a tweet as well, so that people will know who to contact or where to talk to you in order to either join Homebase or ask questions about Homebase or whatever else they want to know.
Yep.
So yeah, great. Thank you very much. I hope this cleared a lot up. If people still have questions, feel free to ask us, and have a wonderful day.
Have a great one. Take care.